Welcome back to Color Class. I'm Sarah.
I'm Lucinda.
And today we are actually revising one of our videos because we are diving into autumn seasonal color analysis.
And let's just say it was an old video and it was time to give it a little spruce up.
Right. We want to update a few things, just make sure everything's absolutely perfect. If you have any questions, if you're in autumn or not, that will be answered here. We're going to be talking hair color, eye color, skin tones. We're even talking what colors are working best with you. So we'll do like whether you think you're a winter or an autumn, spring or an autumn, summer or autumn. We will determine it all today.
Sort of to help you get, answer some questions about what season you are.
Right.
But speaking of answering questions, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
All of your answers.
If you go over to the Patreon, our Patreon, or go to our website, and you have any further questions, you can always get them answered there.
Absolutely. So don't forget to subscribe and join us wherever you see fit. Patreon, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, we're everywhere. All right. So getting back to autumn color analysis, we should probably start by saying there are a lot of people left out of the Four Seasons palette. So you've probably heard us talk about it before. It is not very diverse. It was not designed to be very inclusive of a system. So no, not everyone falls within the Four Seasons.
However, it is the quintessential first step in getting to an inclusive, complete color palette that matches you.
Exactly.
And the way that we do that is through the Four Seasons, which I like to think of as more of a catch-all, because let's face it, it divides all of the people on Earth into 4 color groups. Well, if you think about that for 2 seconds, it's like, what?
Right.
Yeah. And does not deal with neutrals at all. But it is the first step on our journey, so we revere it. We're all about it. And today we're talking about those of us who start out roughly in the autumn bucket.
Mm-hmm. Roughly meaning someone like me who starts out roughly in the autumn bucket.
Or someone like me who started out in the autumn bucket, just like this one. I'm her mom, and I had the same coloring as she did.
Right.
I was kind of an autumn. Before that, I was a golden blonde, when I was a little kid. So I was a spring and then kind of an autumn, but I always felt I wasn't quite right, know. I'm sure you felt that way a lot.
Exactly.
But in terms of my coloring, I always felt like I'm kind of an autumn, but some things just don't fit.
Right.
Now, we'll teach you all about that later on, or you can go back and look at some of our other videos. But today is about the first step on your journey toward whether you're an autumn or not. And we will be doing whether you're a summer or not, and whether you're winter or not, and whether you're spring or not. But we're starting with autumn because both of us have experience being autumns. I used to be an autumn, and she's still an autumn. So we can speak to this.
Now, starting off with hair colors. Hair is one of the most important parts of color analysis. It takes up a lot of real estate in your look. And remember, our goal is to look at your face. It's the thing that we want to see. We want to frame your face.
Your colorscape.
Right.
When we're looking at the portrait of you that is you, we see a lot of hair.
Right.
For the most part. So,
and your hair is the frame.
Right. So we give a lot of influence to hair color.
Right.
Probably 65%-ish?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big portion of color analysis.
So we're going to start with hair.
So you might often see auburns as like the quintessential autumn, but there's a lot more that goes into it.
A whole lot more going on. One thing that I like to start with, I don't know about you, but I like to start with when you're looking at your hair or someone's hair, the first question to ask is, are there red or gold highlights? Because that's kind of basic. And is the hair medium to deep? That's it. That's all you need.
That's pretty much the basics.
That's the whole ball game. But if you can see red or gold highlights, and this, you can see this with medium to dark hair, you can see it no matter what. You know, you're going to see some gold in there. You're going to see some red in there.
Right.
And that means that you're in autumn. Now, the big question then becomes, what does medium mean, Sarah? What does it mean when we say medium to deep?
Well, I guess this is the perfect time to go over different hair colors that you might hear, and it will trigger something if somebody has described your hair this way. But I do want to start off with childhood, because a lot of childhood autumns are golden blonde.
Like us.
Right. And then they move into the darker coppery red colors that you see. It darkens with age. Common hair colors are going to be like your auburns, coppers, dark golden blondes, warm browns. But we also want to talk about redheads, if you're a spring or not, because I think we get that a lot. I'm a redhead, so I'm in autumn. But that's not necessarily true.
Right. If you're a bright redhead, you're likely a spring.
Right.
If you're a soft redhead, you have moved into autumn.
Right.
And that's kind of where I was headed with that word medium to deep. We list on here dark golden blonde, which really is a golden brown.
Right.
I think, you know, you could say either or. But if it's soft, if you've gotten to the point where it's soft rather than bright, you have moved into autumn, because that's a characteristic of autumn. It's soft overall.
So here's some examples of autumn hair color. Now, it can be anywhere in between these. These are just to give some ideas of like when you see the auburn or the copper or the golden blonde.
Right.
It's just some ideas to get you in the right direction.
And what, you know, if you're just starting out with us, what does red or gold highlights mean? What does it look like?
Yes.
I mean, here's an example.
So now that we've discussed hair, it's time to move on to something else like eye color. Eye color is an important part, especially when it comes to your power colors, where they can really enhance your eyes. You're looking for pretty much two characteristics. You're looking for warm, and you could be a little bit on the deeper side. But there are actually a few shades out there.
I think you can be all over the place with with your autumn eye.
Yeah.
And that's why hair is so important, because, and I hate to back up, but if you're looking at an eye color and it is a teal blue,
Yep.
and you're like, oh my goodness, this is a teal blue. Oh, what, you know, if you're having angst, you go right back to hair.
You do.
Because if you've got autumn hair, you're in autumn. I mean, that's pretty much it. I can't think of an instance, and you guys are welcome to put in the comments down below and here on YouTube, if you've ever known an instance where somebody's eye color pretty much controlled the day. It, you know, over hair color.
Right.
I can't think of anyone. I can't think of an instance. Eye color overwhelmed hair color in terms of a season.
Right. Because when we talk about autumns, I feel like the typical autumn has like golden brown, like
hazel.
dark to topaz color, green or with orange gold streaks in it.
Amber.
Yes,
you know, amber is big.
It's usually those gold flecks that really, I instantly trigger autumn when I see those gold flecks. And you also get, so this is where things get a little complicated, because you can have clear green eyes, you can have deep olive eyes, you can have golden, pretty much golden eyes.
And like us, we have gray eyes.
Oh yeah, it gets even weirder.
With gold striations, which kind of makes them read green or blue or gray or whatever. But the key there is that those gold starbursts, striations in both our eyes that kind of take us into that autumn area.
Right. So you can have vivid turquoise, you can have aqua, you can have blue eyes, you can have teal gray eyes. I mean, when we talk about eye color, there's a wide range. The only thing is like the icy blue.
You know, you read my mind.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That you know, there are a couple, like the really ice blue, you know, that Scandinavian blue.
It's a little bit too much contrast.
But imagine you saw that in somebody who dyed their hair auburn, which would rule the day in terms of their season. it would be the auburn hair. Now, we could give you some colors that would enhance those icy blue eyes that may or may not be part of the typical auburn palette.
Right.
But the bottom line is, overall, people are going to see your hair color at 20 feet or 10 feet or even 5 feet, maybe even before they notice your eye color. And so, you know, your hair color is the driving factor, I like to say. Now, skin tone, there's a lot of debate out there, you know, that your skin tone drives your season. We don't subscribe to that. We simply don't. We've been in this business too long. I combined 40 years for the two of us. We've seen too much and been through too much with people and their coloring to say that somebody's skin tone is going to drive their season, because rarely, if ever, have we seen that happen. But typically, nature doesn't make any mistakes. So if you've got naturally auburn hair, you're naturally golden brown, your skin tone will have kind of a harmony with your hair. So your skin tone will likely be ivory or creamy peach. Sometimes you'll have freckles. Obviously, there are entire countries of people who have golden brown hair and that rich, deep copper skin. You know, and I think of celebrities who just are gorgeous, and they pretty much typify this deep gold skin with the golden brown hair or the reddish brown hair. So you'll see all of those things. And right here next to me, you'll see a case where we've got the soft auburn hair. And what do you call your skin tone?
Neutral to cool leaning, but my eyes definitely are cool leaning. So,
and that skin tone of yours is fair.
Right.
So what rules the day in terms of your season?
My overall hair definitely rules in my season, because if I went with the almost like my shared season with autumn, because it's soft, would be a summer, which is also soft. The coolness, like the lighter pastel colors, wash me out completely.
Right. That I have evolved into with my hair going gray. You know, anytime that, you know, you put like a rosy pink on her or a mauve, or it's just I
get washed out.
Yeah. It's just not her. It's not harmonious for her at all. But, you know, if she didn't have hair, you know, if you pulled all the hair back, and
I would definitely be cool leaning.
She could maybe wear the rosier pinks just because it would be harmonious with her skin tone. Now, the one thing I do want to mention is, you know, we talk about what's the difference between autumn and spring. And I'd said that before. Springs are bright and autumns are soft.
But both are warm.
And both are warm. One tends to be lighter, one tends to be deeper. And that's where that quadrant, you know, how we divide these 4 categories up in the whole world of everybody on earth. You know, autumns and springs are both warm seasons, but springs are bright and autumns are softer and deeper. The one thing that I want to mention, though, with springs, you know, in terms of the difference between, if you're trying to determine whether you're a spring or an autumn, you have to ask yourself, is your hair, you know, because we talked about redheads. Am I a spring redhead or an autumn redhead? Or am I a spring blonde or an autumn dark blonde? Bottom line is, if you're bright, if you radiate in bright colors, that's spring. If you look rich and glorious and beautiful in soft colors, the softer, deeper the colors of an autumn landscape, that's autumn.
So autumns often have like a colorless cheek versus a spring who has a rosier kind of cheek. So that's really the only difference.
Yeah, sometimes. But again, everything we're saying here, these are kind of,
take it with a
great, because it's not always the case. You know, you might get springs.
It's not 100%.
Exact springs that have fair skin, and so that it can be all over the place. We've seen a lot about springs, if you can tan your spring, if you don't tan, you're an autumn. I tanned. Even when I was in autumn, I tanned.
Right.
And sometimes they say, well, if you have freckles, you're a spring, or if you have freckles, you're an autumn. Forget that mess. If you've got autumn hair, you're an autumn.
So we have a couple examples of women. Now, all of these are going to fall into the autumn category, but some of these are very uncommon people. Because I'm going to start from right to left. So on the right, we have our auburn, warm skin tone, looks great in autumn colors. This one's fairly easy.
And typical.
Right. So the woman in the teal next to her, we have the warm golden hair,
the warm red hair.
Warm red hair, sorry. Warm golden skin tone. Again, we have brown eyes. It all falls into the warm palette. But usually this obviously is dyed hair. So we don't typically see that. We usually see black hair, which is cool leaning, with warm skin tone. And that's where we believe the Four Seasons palette does a disservice, because it doesn't combine those two into a palette.
Oh, but we have a way to fix that. We have a whole system to fix that with our blended palette. So never fear. This isn't about that.
Right.
But this is about the first step toward whether you're an autumn.
Right. I'm going to link a video, and that's where kind of the 6 palette system comes into play, which will be really helpful for you if you are somebody that is mixing like a warm skin tone with a cool hair, or like me with cool skin tone with warm hair. All right. So our next woman, again, this is something that's not typical that you normally see, because we have the warm hair clearly dyed. You can see the roots that are black, yeah. Right? The brows have been changed to be warm. Skin tone is warmer overall. So it's not a typical coloring, but this is just an example of how if you do have dyed hair or your brows are warmer skin tone, this is just what it looks like. And it's the same for the rest of these women too. Again, like you can see the darker roots, but the caramel highlights in the hair, the warm skin tone. And lastly, to our last woman, again, warm hair, warm skin tone. And that does give a softness when your skin tone and your hair kind of match. So that's another clue that you're softer and not high contrast, but that's a whole different video. So
you know what I'd love to see you do with this graphic, Sarah? I'd love to see this graphic done with the 6 dominant characteristics in a separate video, because this is some fun stuff, because we've got deep, we've got soft,
we've got warm.
Exactly. So this would be, put that on your calendar. Look for this graphic done as the 6 dominant characteristics.
We can toss that onto the Patreon page, actually.
Oh, let's do.
Perfect. All right, now we get into the fun stuff. So, the colors. These colors are very intense autumn colors that usually only autumns can wear. So let's go through them. Dark brown. Sometimes winter's going to get away with it, but you're going to look better in black versus dark brown. So autumn's dark brown. Camel is another color. So a warm, medium, golden brown. Orange like a pumpkin. Okay, so think pumpkin, not like some traffic cone orange, but a very like dustier, rustier pumpkin color. Gold. And when I say gold, I mean a not shiny orange gold, not shiny yellow gold. We're talking muted, little softer. Yes.
Soft gold.
And then lastly, moss green. Moss green can look good on a couple of different seasons, so that's why I put that one last. Hopefully you already checked off some boxes earlier if you think you're in autumn.
What I love though is comparing it to winter colors. So so let's say that you know you're kind of like, okay, I can wear these, and nobody goes, ugh, what are you wearing? Because generally, if you can wear this palette, you're in autumn.
Right.
But what happens if you look good in navy, pure white, pure black, or magenta?
You could be a winter. So if you are confused between winters and autumns, these are the colors that really make the difference that we were talking about, because winters and autumns share something in common, which is deep. So if you are a winter that looks good in navy, pure white, and magenta, those colors are on the cooler side.
On the winter spectrum.
But if you are on the autumn side and you can wear pumpkin,
Girl.
yes, winters cannot wear pumpkin. Winters cannot wear a soft gold either. It's going to make them go a little bit yellow. Brown is a little bit tricky because some winters think they look good in brown because like maybe they have brown eyes.
Or it's a cool brown.
Right.
It could be a cool brown.
Brown is a little bit tricky, but if you know the difference between a warm brown and a cool brown and the warm brown looks better, then that's going to be autumn.
Now, there are people, and I'm speaking to you now, who fall right between winter and autumn. Mm-hmm. That is what's known as a blended season, and we will be addressing that in the 6 dominant characteristics and further down the road in the 12 palette and the 16 palette. So if you were to say, well, I don't look great in orange and I don't look great in magenta, but the colors that are kind of in between, I can wear like a mid camel kind of color, and I can wear a moss green for sure,
or like
the
a
soft
deep
color.
Any deep color, because that's the characteristic that combines the two. So even if we're talking like deep burgundy, colors like that, you could be deep. And that's what we were talking about earlier with the model, yes. Because you might have combining features that are cool and warm at the same time, but fall into the deep category.
Exactly.
And then next up, spring versus autumn. We've talked about that a little bit. The thing that combines spring and autumn is warm. Both of them are warm. The only thing is springs are light.
And bright.
Yes, autumns are deep. So if you can wear bright colors like warm pink, like a bright warm pink, a bright light aqua, or a golden yellow, instead of that soft gold, it's like a bright
sunflower.
Yes. No, even more intense than that.
Yeah,
I would give it,
okay.
Because sometimes I think sunflowers can lean a little orangey.
Marigold?
No, even brighter
Buttercup.
than that. Buttercup. There you go. If you can wear buttercup, then that leans more spring. If you can wear sunflower, that's more autumn. And that's kind of the giveaway because both are warm. Now, you could be a 6 dominant characteristic person and just be warm, kind of a medium in the middle. That's okay. That just means that you have competing features that are light and competing features that are deep.
And you get to pull from both palettes. Mm-hmm. Don't think that by being kind of neutral in between palettes that you're limited in any way. Mm-hmm. You get to pull the best of the best for you.
Right.
Which is great.
And that's part of our 6 dominant characteristics, which again, I will link for you. All right. And then lastly, summers versus autumns.
This is one of my favorites.
Yes.
Because I was an autumn and I evolved into a summer. You know, as my hair grayed and as I became older, right. And my skin kind of got cooler and I just looked less colorful. Like I said, I had her coloring and now I have my coloring.
The scientific term is we lose our melanocytes. That's why when you see somebody that is more mature, older, they look a little bit dustier. They lose their skin tone.
I became pigment challenged. A little bit.
I mean, frosted, you lighten a little.
And as this was happening to me, I remember, I will never forget it. I was like, Carol Jackson. Mm-hmm. She wrote the book, Coloring Beautiful. I said, Carol, what is my season? Because I feel like I'm, I don't have a home. And she goes, you're an awesome. It's like, I was becoming a summer, but at that time, I was an awesome.
Mm-hmm. Right in between autumn and summer.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you are right in there and you're thinking, am I a summer? Am I an autumn? Because clearly you are soft if you are trying to decipher between those two.
Both are soft seasons.
Yes. Can you wear a pastel pink, a pastel lavender? That leans summer. But if you can still wear pumpkin or mustard, that leans autumn.
However, if you're an awesome and you're in that I can't tell you how many people write us on Patreon or on the web.
So many softs.
So many people who are softs who are moving from autumns to summers. One of the colors that kind of is a bridge, coral.
Yes.
I discovered by personal experience that I started looking great in coral, but I stopped looking so good in pumpkin. Well, I don't think I ever looked good in pumpkin or mustard, but I didn't look as good in some of the oranges, and and maybe the terracottas, and then I started gravitating to corals, all that whole coral family,
and teal.
Yeah, of course. But then I moved into the roses as I became more summer-like.
And if you want more information, lastly, I will link the soft 6 dominant characteristics, because you could just fall in between both and have some competing, like us, where I have cooler skin tone, cooler eyes, warmer hair. You could just have competing features, and that's okay too. And you might fall into the soft category in the 6 dominant characteristics. So I hope you have learned as much as possible from the autumn palette. And if you are somebody who could be in between seasons, don't forget to look into the 6 dominant characteristics palette or the whole system, because it is really critical, because a lot of us don't fit in, and I totally understand that. And where we worked before, we had so many people coming to us saying, hey, I have these competing features, and they would be either they would feature their skin tone that day or their hair color, and we had to say, you do not fit into the 4 palette system. You just do not fit in.
And that was hard, because where we worked before, all they did was the 4 seasons. That's it. There were no options. Since we've been here and we can develop our own journey, our own system for people, we have embraced an entire path to get you into the perfect palette, regardless of your coloring.
Now, I guess this is a perfect way to plug in. We do have color analysis available. We are on a wait list. Patreon members do get the first time slots available when they get released. If you would like to do a color analysis with us, we do the we do the 4 palette system. We then put you into the 6 palette system, and then we put you in the 12 or the 16 palette system. And then it's kind of based off your contrast. If you're high, low, medium, somewhere in between. We also base your palette off the contrast. So there's a whole lot going on.
But at the end, the palette that you receive is like nobody else's. Right. It is yours.
Because you are like nobody else.
That's exactly right. And in these palettes that we do, they have eye enhancers, eye color enhancers. They have hair color enhancers. So basically, we look at you, a calibrated version of you, by the way. So we're seeing exactly what you are. And then we give you your own perfectly customized palette that no other person on the earth has.
In a book, by the way.
Oh yeah, you get a cool coffee table book. I go off topic all the time.
I know. So I'm just so excited about it.
We got into this big debate about whether we should feature, when our clients finally get to us, because like I said, they have a wait list, and our book, do we put their portrait, their picture, the picture we've worked with on the cover? Yeah, please tell us what you think on the cover of the book. Now, Sarah's a little shyer than I am. I don't know if you've noticed this by watching our videos, but I'm out there. So I'm like, yeah, put me right on the cover. I want to be on my coffee table, stick me right on the cover and make me big. And she's like, I don't want to be on the cover of the book. I'd rather be inside the book.
To blend into like my living room or my space around me.
Yeah, and not just a big wanted poster on the cover. So we decided to make it up to our clients. If you want your photo to be on the cover of the book, you can say yes, you can. And if you don't have to.
Yes.
But it's a nice little coffee table book, and of course you get a download along with it, where everything is on your computer and you can bring it up as a PDF. But the book is so awesome.
So what would you choose? Would you put your face on the cover or no face on the cover? Because we're still going back and forth, depending on what you guys say.
I think it's a personality. I think with my personality, you just plop me right there. And with yours, you're a little more demure.
Well, speaking of personalities, if you want more of either of our personalities, you can find us on Facebook Instagram, TikTok. If you want to chat with us, hop on over to Patreon. You can come chat with us. We're always talking about crazy things. I did apple picking this weekend. We talked about that.
We're posting essays on different, imagine a book on color, and each couple days you get a chapter on things that are kind of interesting about color analysis. We even did recently ideas for Halloween costumes in your season, whether you're a witch or a vampire as a winter, whether you're a butterfly as a spring, whether you're a nature goddess as an autumn,
like a fairy for a summer or
something. We did, but we have photos, so we give you Halloween costume inspiration should you want that.
So thank you for joining us today. I think we have gone through everything. Oh, except don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this video because it helps us out. It helps us keep being able to create content for you. And then lastly, I'm Sarah.
I'm Lucinda.
This has been another color class, and we'll see you in our next video.